The day has come. It's time for Super Bowl II. The Green Bay Packers, the defending Super Bowl champions, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's take a look at some of your stats from both teams throughout this 2017 to 2018 simulation series. Big Ben, he had a great season, 3,000-yard season for the second year in a row, 32 touchdowns, 10 interceptions for Roethlisberger in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had 722 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. So overall, a better season from last season for Big Ben. Now Le'Veon Bell, 277 rush attempts, had a 1,000-yard rushing season for the second year in a row, 10 TDs less than last year, and 1 receiving touchdown. In the playoffs, 56 rush attempts, 179 yards, and just 1 rushing touchdown the whole playoffs for number 26. Antonio Brown, a much better season than last year, 80 receptions, 1,000-yard receiving for the second year in a row, and 6 touchdowns. Then in the playoffs, better stats, 16 receptions, and he had 3 touchdowns in the postseason, the best postseason in the career for Antonio Brown. Then the rookie T.J. Watt out of Wisconsin, 11 tackle for losses, 9.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 3 tackles for losses in the playoffs with 2 sacks and a forced turnover for the defensive rookie of the year, who had a great season for the Steelers and going to the Super Bowl in his first season. Here's the Steelers' season recap. They started off 6-0. They had the bye week 6, and they had 2 straight losses to Minnesota and Philadelphia before going on a 3-game winning streak, including beating the Packers in week 11, before dropping one to Baltimore in week 13 and then Buffalo in week 15. And then they went 3-0 in the playoffs, beating Baltimore, Kansas City, and then New England in the AFC Championship game 29-20 to head to the Super Bowl. Here are the Packers now. Aaron Rodgers, 3,000-yard season, had 3,500 yards last year, almost cracked 3,900, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for the NFL's MVP. And then his playoffs were absolutely insane. Just 7 interceptions the entire season by Aaron Rodgers. Ty Montgomery, his first year as a running back, he had almost 300 carries, had a 1,000-yard season, 10 touchdowns like Le'Veon Bell, but he had 2 receiving touchdowns as well. He had 3 touchdowns in the playoffs, 2 in the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago. Great season for Montgomery. Then the second-year receiver Davante Adams finally had a 1,000-yard season. He missed 3 games to an ankle injury. 7 touchdowns, though, less than last season. He had 9. And in the playoffs, he had a great year as well. 1 touchdown coming in the divisional round against the Rams, but he had over 100 yards in both those games because Green Bay had the bye after being the 2 seed. Clay Matthews, a little bit more of a downhill season for him. 16 tackles for loss, 8 sacks, 3 forced turnovers, and then 2 tackles for losses in the playoffs, 0 sacks and 0 forced turnovers. But the Packers are playing 2 great teams with offensive lines. Here's the Packers season. They started 7-0, the last team to be undefeated, before losing to the Rams at home in week 9. And then they dropped one at the Steelers week 11 and then to Minnesota week 14. Those were their only losses on the season. They had the bye in the wild card due to being the 2 seed, and then they beat the Rams 28-14 in the divisional, and then the Eagles 36-10, blowing them out in the NFC Championship game to try and defend their Super Bowl. Well, it's time. Packers, Steelers, Super Bowl II in U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota. Let's get you out there for the call. Super Bowl II is upon us. The Green Bay Packers taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Green Bay, they've been here before. Aaron Rodgers, the MVP and a Super Bowl MVP, leading his team to try and defend their title. But on the other side, it's a different opponent from last year. Big Ben and the 3-seat Steelers in the AFC. They've worked hard to get here. They beat New England. They beat Kansas City. Now they're trying to get their first Lombardi title. 2 great defenses. It's going to be one heck of a show here in Minnesota. The towels are waving. The cheese have showed up. McCarthy and his Packers take on Tomlin and his Steelers. We're in for Super Bowl II. Who will come out on top? And off we go. We're underway in the second Super Bowl of the Madden Simulation Series. This one will be returned from the 1-yard line. And out to about the 25-yard line. Big Ben, in his first Super Bowl, got knocked out in the divisional to the AFC champions from last year, Tennessee. What can he do in his first Super Bowl appearance? As Big Ben will have to put up a good drive to start the scoring for Pitt. As this punt will sail and it'll go out of bounds at about the 11. And the guy who did it 1 year ago will have to try and repeat his title. Aaron Rodgers for the Packers, trying to be the first back-to-back champion. Nonetheless, still be the only Super Bowl champions in the simulation series. 3rd down and 8 from the 36-yard line. Adams going to be a big target here on 3rd down. Rodgers in the shotgun. Combining down. Play action. Rodgers with time. Pressure. Gets hit. Fires it for the end zone. Intercepted by Crockwell. And an early turnover for the Packers, and the Steelers get a big stop. An unfortunate mistake by Rodgers. He was looking for Nelson in the end zone, but Crockwell beat him to the ball, and it was just underthrown, and Nelson didn't have time to react on that one. 3rd down and 14 for the Steelers after the big sack. Ben in the shotgun. With time. Fires. He gets picked off. Intercepted by Randall. And now the Steelers defense is going to have to try and stop them. An interception by the Packers, which is followed up by one by Roethlisberger. So the Steelers are able to get a stop in the red zone, and Mason Crosby will kick the field goal. Wild sequence there by the defenses. Good snap, good hold, and the first points of Super Bowl II is a field goal from Mason Crosby. 2nd and 14, thanks to the loss by Le'Veon Bell. Play action. Roethlisberger. Pressure. Fires it deep. Looking for Brown. He's got him. Antonio Brown. All the way. Touchdown, Pittsburgh. 82 yards. What a response. What a start to Super Bowl II. Guarded by the rookie Jair Alexander. And Antonio Brown went up and came down with it. And the rookie had no idea what hit him. Longest touchdown of the year for Antonio Brown, and it comes in the Super Bowl. And the Steelers with a huge way to respond after the pick and the field goal. So here is Boswell to make it 7-0. And the Steelers come firing off on offense. And they take the lead with 3:19 to go in the first quarter. And that will end quarter number 1 here in Minnesota, with the Steelers up 7-3 on the Green Bay Packers. We'll be right back for the start of quarter number 2. 3rd down and goal from the 5. Roethlisberger. Pressure. And it's caught for the touchdown by Green. And the Steelers put up another 6, and they go up by double digits. And the Packers now allow another scoring drive. Roethlisberger had time. There's pressure coming from his left, but he ignored it and fired a bullet over to Green for the touchdown. A very nice drive by the Steelers, and we thought this was going to be a close game, and Pittsburgh has started to pull away. As here is the extra point by Chris Boswell, and he makes it to make it 14-3 in favor of the Steelers. 3rd down and 8 from the 32. Less than 4 minutes to go in the half. Roethlisberger fires. He's got it. What a catch. Antonio Brown. His 2nd touchdown of the Super Bowl on his 2nd catch. And the Steelers go up 20-3. What a laser. And it's Antonio Brown again on Jair Alexander. A diving catch, and Brown just sticks those hands up there, makes the grab for the touchdown. I can't believe he hung onto that football. And now Boswell can bank it into making an 18-point game. What a first half by the Steelers offense. And Boswell's kick is through. 21-3 Steelers. Here's the kick from Crosby to try and cut the deficit down to 15. It is up and through, and the Packers are able to cut into the lead just by a little bit. 21-6 at the half. The Steelers dominate the second quarter, and the Packers are going to have to make some adjustments if they want to stay in this ball game. So here's the kick from Crosby. So it's a long first drive, but they're able to at least drive down and hopefully put up some more points. The third field goal from Crosby in this Super Bowl puts the Packers down 21-9. Play action, and no, it's a run actually, and Montgomery gets to the 5-yard line. I thought Rodgers was going to keep it. But we go to the fourth quarter, still 21-9. Steelers 15 minutes away from the Super Bowl. 4th and goal, the Steelers are able to get a big stop, and now Crosby for his 4th attempt on the afternoon. Good snap, good hold, and the Packers are now down by 9 with less than 15 minutes to go to try and repeat the Super Bowl. So this to make it a one-possession game, the 5th field goal of the day for Crosby. Packers have not been able to score a touchdown. Kick is up, and it is through. 6-point game. Still alive for the Packers. And we go to the 2-minute warning. The Steelers, 2 minutes away from winning their first Super Bowl. 3rd down and goal with 21 seconds left. The Packers need to score and get an onside kick. Rodgers, flag is down, has time, fires up in the air, intercepted! What a pick! And it's Willie Gay who made the interception in the AFC Championship game. But it's on the Steelers' defense, so the Packers are going to get a chance. It's on Golson. That was almost an incredible play by William Gay, but it turns into 1st and goal from the 3-yard line for the Pack, who, if they score and then get the onside kick, will be down by 2 and can get a field goal and try to win this thing. And it'll be coming back 5 yards, thanks to the false start. 6 seconds left. Packers can score, but they're going to need a miracle to get back into this thing. Rodgers fires, has it. Mercedes Lewis, not going to get there. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 3rd seat in the AFC, are Super Bowl champions. The Packers didn't find the end zone once. The Steelers' defense came prepared and locked down on Davante Adams. And the Steelers are the Super Bowl champions. What a season. Antonio Brown had a great game. TJ Watt, the Defensive Rookie of the Year, wasn't much of an impact, but he'll get a ring. Packers players congratulating the Steelers players. Mike McCarthy did all that he could, and the Packers are the only team that can say they've gone to 2 Super Bowls in the first 2 seasons, however. But the Steelers were just too good for Green Bay, especially when the Packers drove into the red zone. Roethlisberger had a great game, threw for 3 TDs, had a pick though, but luckily that defense was able to help. And what a game. See, the 2 touchdowns by Antonio Brown were huge. And there he is, your Super Bowl MVP, Antonio Brown, the first wide receiver to win Super Bowl MVP. An incredible game for him. And the Steelers are getting ready to host the Lombardi Trophy. And they will defend their Super Bowl title, at least try to, going into next season. Ben, Bell, Brown, and Watt all on the stage hosting the Lombardi. The Steelers are Super Bowl champions. Second year in a row, the losing team only puts up 15 in the Super Bowl. The Steelers win by 9, and they take Super Bowl II 24-15. Rodgers threw for 400 yards, the most in the Super Bowl, but didn't even have a single touchdown. No one on the Packers did. Mercedes Lewis, the most receiving yards by a tight end in the Super Bowl, but a historic day for Antonio Brown, the Super Bowl MVP. Big Ben had a great day, and this is definitely a Super Bowl to remember. This is American Sports Coverage. See you next year for the NFL. Signing off.